Help, I'm pushing up. Rotate.
No, they're rotating back. They're rotating back. They're
gonna go. Just rotate, guys. Just rotate. Give it up. Just give it up.
Right.
Nice. Rotate.
Greetings and welcome to episode number 7 of the Rotation with Zhack, and we're off to a good start today already. I mean, look at me. I got a haircut. I was a mess last episode if you go back and watch episode number 6. I mean, I grew it out for a while, but now we got the clean cut. We're looking good. We're feeling good, and it's time to talk some Call of Duty. Thanks again, everyone, for tuning into episode 7 of the Rotation with Zhack on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, no matter where you are. Like, subscribe, comment, share with your friends. Let's make the Call of Duty League even more popular. All right, enough with that. Let's get into some first blood. And I gotta say it, Cold War is on the rise. I'm talking the competitive season. I'm talking the CDL. Everything, all the puzzle pieces are sort of falling into place right now, and you love to see it. The game is improving. The CDL is listening. The players are making good adjustments. The meta is finally falling into form. And teams, they are learning the game, and we're starting to compete at a higher level. It happens every year. One team starts off extremely hot. They're blowing everybody out of the water, and they just learn the game the quickest. They learn the movement mechanics, the timing, the spawns, the rotations. Everything goes well, and you see teams that maybe you wouldn't expect to, or someone with better players even, who just have natural talent, and even if they are learning the game slower, they're at that advantage because they're naturally gifted. They're just frying. They're just beaming everyone. But now that we've had a stage to get through some things and the game is sort of settling into its own, we've GA'd the stuff that we sort of need to. We're in a little bit of a different meta. The playing field is leveling out. Teams are competing with one another. We saw it with the matches from the first week of Stage 2 in Toronto's quote-unquote home series. Like, there were some battles. Seattle almost beat Dallas, which nobody saw coming. London make a roster change, and all of a sudden they look like one of the best teams in the league, putting a 3-0 onto LAG. So with all that being said, like, this is more on track for what we're going to see in Cold War for the remainder of the season, in my opinion, and I love it. I talked about it last week, how we need to find the meta. Like, we can't be playing with one thing one week, then GAing it, playing with a completely different meta the next week, and then down the line at Champs, we're GAing something else and it's a completely different game. Like, there's no consistency in that, and it's something that we have to find in the Call of Duty League. We took a stage to figure it out. The XM4 is out. Hopefully, like, this is where we're at with the meta. Maybe we've seen Haggy playing with the FFAR and scrims. I know he's down in the Challenger scene now, but, like, right now it looks like the Krig, QBZ, 74U. I hope the meta doesn't shift entirely again, because then you're almost back to square one. To whereas right now, the teams have learned the game, they know what's going on, they feel like the competitive integrity is on a level ground with everyone being with the Krig in hand, being with the QBZ in hand, and the AK-74U. Everybody is comfortable where we are. I hope things can stay there, because then we get to actually see who the best of the best is. Now, don't twist my words and take that like I'm saying, oh, FaZe actually aren't that good. They just won because, you know, the meta favored them. They learned the game quicker. They're not actually going to, you know, destroy everyone. Because that's not true at all. Atlanta FaZe are one of those teams who, like, they learned the game quick. They also have the natural talent, and they will adapt with the meta. Like, they are the best team in the game still, and until somebody beats them, like, you can't tell me otherwise. Atlanta FaZe, they're just so good. They have the raw talent. The communication is there. The coaching, the strategies, Crowder's doing great things. And just, you know, the mentality that all these players have, it's making them the best team in the league. So with that, the first blood take is Cold War is on the rise. We're settling into our season. And this is where you may be shocked with some results, but you shouldn't be. You're seeing some teams win, and it's like, whoa, what? They're just learning the meta. They took a little bit longer, and now we're at the competition. That's the point we're at in the Call of Duty League right now, and I'm excited for how the rest of the season will play out. I think it should stay consistent. Maybe there will be a little meta shift and change here and there, but I think what we have in front of us, it's kind of set in stone, and it should be what we see for a majority or the remainder of the season. which means everything will stay true. You can actually predict and think who's going to be good. And with that being said, like, everyone's going to be button heads left and right. The competition will be at a peak. The only thing that's going to change after each stage is just the pools. Who's in Group A, who's in Group B, who's competing. But we'll see everyone touch base with one another at the major. I hope we get to see land towards the end of the season, towards the last major and champs. But without any of that in mind, just looking in the present, I think we're in a good spot. We finally found consistency in the Call of Duty League. That's the first blood take. Now it's time to talk and hop in to the barracks news and notes from around the league. The barracks are going to be wild this week because there's so much to talk to. After the first stage, early on in the second stage here, Rostermania has presented itself to us. And my, oh my, yesterday my phone was blowing up, getting all the notifications, all the tweets, bam, bam, bam. They were just coming at me left and right, just flying at me across my screen, and we have to talk about all of them. I spoke about it last week, and I said, I pointed out some teams that I thought needed to make roster changes or have a sense of urgency. I spoke about the Minnesota Rocker. We'll talk about them in a second. And I talked towards the end of stage one while we were in the major when LA Thieves got shocked by LAG in the first round and like sort of underperformed in the major. I was a little bit shell-shocked and like, man, these guys have all the hype surrounding them. They have the brand. The expectations are high, especially on paper for that roster. They may need a change. And that's where we're going to start. We are starting with the LA Thieves. So Temp has been benched. Venom will take his role. I think what really set this roster move off, it stemmed from the stage one major, but then the reverse sweep that NYSL put on the Thieves, that was the icing on the cake for the roster change. Like if LA Thieves go on, they win that match against NYSL, what could have been a 3-0. They were up 2-1 in the control and 2-0 in the series. Like if they 3-0 NYSL like they could have and should have, in my opinion, in that situation, we might not even be seeing this roster change right now from the LA Thieves. The Call of Duty League, it's still in its infancy. We have 12 teams. We're only through the stage one major and into stage two now. But these teams are going to be working fast to find success. Like they aren't here to find T6. They are here to win. And if they feel that a roster that they have and the way their players are performing is not going to find a win, like if they're not going to win a stage, a major, champs, a tournament, like have a good showing, they're going to make changes. They have a hell of a talent pool to pick out of from the challenger scene. Everybody's job is threatened in the CDL. Nobody is safe. And Methods, he was the first victim a couple of weeks ago, dropped for insight or benched, whatever you want to call it. And now it's Temp. Venom is one of those young players who we've been following for a little bit in the challenger scene, and he's nasty. He can fly on the map. He can make an impact for the team, and it's something that the LA Thieves are looking for. You heard Mud Dog and JCap talk about it. They just said, yeah, you know, there were little things. The team wasn't gelling, and we just felt like a change needed to be made because we weren't performing at the level we need to. These teams want to win, guys. Like, Rostermania will go through the extent of the entire season, in my opinion. There won't be an end to Rostermania. If teams aren't performing, management, organizations, players, they're going to keep trying and trying to get themselves on top. It's a lot easier to find a replacement and put together a squad that gels in 4v4. Like when you're playing 5v5, you need a couple pieces here and there. But 4v4, you can kind of pick out someone who's the weak link and think, hey, if we got someone who could fit into this role, I think that could improve us, make us a step better, and get there. The other thing to keep in mind is when all these roster changes are happening, these starters getting benched, and then challengers playing players coming out, these guys who are getting benched, like it could be an endless cycle, and they just fill into another team who's struggling. And then that person gets dropped and goes over here because he's played with these guys before, and they mesh well. It's going to be a lot to keep up with throughout the year. You want my opinion on it? I know you do, talking about the LA Thieves. I mean, you know, when you look at Temp and what he had done early on through stage 1 and into stage 2, like there are some teams who have made roster changes and, you know, not questionable, but I mean, Temp may not have been the first guy that I would have anticipated to get benched like him and Methods. You know, they weren't the worst. Like Temp, he had a .98 overall with the LA Thieves. But again, we talk about the role that these guys play and situationally what it means and how they file into the team. It's not always about the KD. Like Temp can slay. We know it. Everybody can in the Call of Duty League. He sort of lacked in Search and Destroy. And everybody knows you play 2 SNDs. Every single series, if you get to 5 maps, you're playing 2 SNDs. That's somewhere where Temp struggled. He had a .87. His first blood ratio, not terrible. You know, he had about 13% of the first bloods for the team. But, you know, on the flip side of that, he had the highest death percentage. 26% of the time, Temp was dying in rounds of SND. You can take that with a grain of salt because at the end of the day, you look at the coaching staff, and these guys are the ones who are analyzing the players and seeing and saying, hey, this guy may be underperforming and he's not doing what I asked him to, and he's just kind of, you know, he could be an anchor or a dead weight and costing us, and that's going to be a quick move for a team to make. I do not know if Temp was the guy because you look at the real playmakers of LA Thieves, like you're looking at Kenny and TJ. All the way back to World War II on Boots on the Ground COD and 4v4, the sample size was there for Kenny. Like he was frying on TK. He played as an MVP for the entire season. He's the one that you want to make a play and you want to build the team around. Slasher's a good leader. He knows how to make calls. He knows what to do. But Kenny is the one who really needs to slay out and be the difference on the map. Especially with this meta shifting and being heavy towards SMGs as we're in a traditional meta where you're seeing 2 ARs, a flex, and an SMG or 2 SMGs, you know, something around there. You can flip it in and out. Basically, 2 SMGs is my opinion what the meta is shifting towards. 2 of those, an AR, and then a true flex. We've seen Kenny step into every role. We've seen him play as the flex with the Maddox back in BO4. We've seen him play as a true SMG. He can do both. He can do everything, but he's the X factor for the LA Thieves. Hopefully Venom opens things up there and allows Kenny to step into whatever role he wants to in that flex position, and they can really shape their roster around him slaying out and making those pivotal plays. I think the LA Thieves needed to make a roster change because I don't think that they were set up to win. I said it a couple minutes ago, these teams want to win. LA Thieves, they didn't think they could do it with Temp clearly. They subbed him out, and now we'll see looking forward in stage 2 what they make happen. That's the first one that hit, and then pretty much simultaneously or right there after that yesterday, the next roster change came, and it was the Minnesota Rocker. This one was a little bit more complex in what they shifted around and the pieces they moved and how they made the situation occur, but I think they listened to the rotation with the Z-Hack, and they listened to me. Because last week, I said the Minnesota Rocker need to show a sense of urgency. They were wildly underperforming for the roster they have on paper. The things that they were doing, you look at the names that they have. Priesta, Major Maniac, Accuracy, and Attach. Like, those are some of the best players throughout Call of Duty history, and they just weren't getting it done, plain and simple. It wasn't easy to watch because I took Minnesota as my flyer for the year. I was like, these guys are good. Like, they are going to make waves. It didn't turn out to be the case. They are terrible at respawns right now. They need somebody to help slay out and open up the momentum in respawns. They're a 2-9 hardpoint team. You can't even make an excuse at that point and say, oh man, we played close matches, we should have won. No. They are getting dominated in hardpoint. They need to do something to change that, whether it's the culture, the players, the plan of attack, the coaching, the strategies. I don't know what it is, but Minnesota were due for a change. I said they needed to show a sense of urgency coming out of stage 1 in the results. And then the icing on the cake was their performance in the first week of stage 2. They get 3-0'd by Paris. They get 3-0'd by Florida. That's said and done right there. You need to make the change at that point. You couldn't wait till the end of stage 2 and say, all right, we can figure it out, give these guys some time. This is a good move by the Minnesota Rocker to get something done. Do I necessarily agree with a player being singled out and picked out? Maybe. Maybe not. I think a couple things could have happened here. But to lay it out for you guys what Minnesota did, Major Maniac is the one who's moved to the bench. So Priesta got moved to a flex role because that's really where they thought he could shine. That's what the coaching staff of Minnesota said during this announcement. So Priesta is moved to a true flex. He can focus on whatever he wants to. And they pick up Standy, and they've been watching him since the scouting series. So they pick him up. He'll move into a true SMG role, and that opens things up for the rest of this roster. So Attach and Standy will be the true subs, and then Accuracy will play as the AR, and Priesta will move to the flex. This could have worked a couple of different ways. Some argue that Accuracy could have been bench. Major Maniac could have been moved to the main AR, and then Priesta to the flex, Standy into the sub role. I think that one could have worked as well, but it's just dependent on what player is influential in certain game modes. You look at it right now, Minnesota are a terrible hardpoint team. Major Maniac is the better player than Accuracy in hardpoint, but then you take a peek at the swing map and the search and destroy, where if you're going the distance, that's what matters, and you see where Accuracy sort of plays better in those modes. He has the .98 in SND to Major Maniac's .88. On top of that, Accuracy is the man who sort of takes over in control for the Minnesota Rocker. He has a 1.1 there. Everybody else struggles on the team. Priesta especially. They know that Priesta has great talent, and they want to give him the chance to open up and play better in the mode like control, let him fly on hardpoint and do his thing in SND. It's pretty clear cut that they're building the roster around him and think that he is the one that can make the difference. Will it pan out for the Minnesota Rocker? I don't know. A roster change did need to be made for Minnesota, and the time was now. They had lost 3 straight series. They lost in a Game 5 in the Major against Toronto, and then they get 3-0'd by Paris, 3-0'd by Florida to start Stage 2. Something needed to be done. Minnesota answered the call. I think it's a good move. The thing that you have to look at now, though, is when they shape up against these good teams, are they going to be ready for it? Like, you have to show a sense of urgency again to get practice in and get your team meshing and sort of on the same page with one another. Like, you got to scrim hard and play these matches like your life depends on it, because you have a new player in there and you have to see how they click and how the composure is and what happens as a team. Are the vibes there? Is the cooperation and the cohesiveness there? These teams that are making the roster changes, they have to work quick. Those were the 2 big ones that happened yesterday. I think they're 2 good changes because these were teams that should have been winning and they just weren't, plain and simple. So LA Thieves get Venom, Minnesota Rocker, they get Standy, and the one that came into fruition for these matches in Stage 2 that I have to talk about, it's Paul X, baby. He came out of the challenger scene and he showed up. He helped London get their first series win of the season. Congratulations to London. Finally, it was about time. I know that they were going through hell with visas, finding the correct guys, the pieces and the parts, and everyone getting in there, but they played incredible in this series. London pulled off the hot 3-0, and they got it done. I mean, they looked really good, and Paul X, in my opinion, he was one of the main factors in this series against LAG. In the first hardpoint, it was on Apocolypse for London. I think that Paul X did his job. I think he had 122 seconds in the hill. He was frying out. I think he had less than a 1 KD, but like, not that big of a deal. You're stepping into a role, you're trying to fry, but you're also looking to play well. In the series, Paul X had a .98, but he was playing the OBJ extremely well throughout the series. He went 48 and 49 in the series, but that hard point where it started the 250 to 189 against LAG, Paul X played big in the hill. He went 20 and 20 with 122 seconds in the hill. Then we know these young guys, like, there's just something about them. They're just really good at S&D, and Paul X showed why. He went 8 and 4 on the Miami Search, and they smoked LAG in what's arguably their best mode. They beat them 6-2. After that, with the backs against the wall, like, that was the end of the series. A 3-0 in control. They took control of the series. London proved the point that roster changes can make a big difference in the Call of Duty League. Picking from that talent pool in the challenger scene, like, these young kids are good. You're going to swing and miss on some of them. You're going to strike out. Not every single pickup that you take that's a young gun and that fresh talent, they're not all going to be stellar. You're not always going to pick someone up and they're going to pan out like Simp or a Beezy and these young guys who have won championships already. It's not always going to happen that way. But when you're losing and you want to compete at the highest level and win in the CDL, you have to take a chance. Rostermania is here, baby. It's happening, and it's going to be here for the rest of the season. I guarantee it. We're going to talk about why in a couple minutes. First, I got to get a sip of coffee. I have to do it. Nothing like a little Pike's Place from Starbucks, man. Let me tell you. But those are the roster changes that have happened thus far. Let me know what team you think needs to make a roster change, who they should pick up, and why. I've given my 2 cents over the past couple of weeks already. I want to hear who you think will be next. Now we want to talk about sort of the road and the path and the future that I see with the Call of Duty League. It's bright. The league is listening to the players, they're listening to the fans, and they're making mid-season adjustments, and it's great. I'm talking about Apocolypse and Express being brought into the rotation. That's why we named the podcast, baby. The map rotation. You got to rotate on the map. And these two, they're being brought into the map pool. Apocolypse and Express made their debut in the Call of Duty League during Stage 2, Week 1. And let's just say it was brilliant. Things are looking great for the Call of Duty League this season. And these teams, they pounded these maps. We saw Apocolypse pretty much every day and Express pretty much every day. I'm one that's for bringing back the old maps, but I will tell you this. So I'm going to go off on a little bit of tangent here because I hear a lot of theories and things of people saying for the Call of Duty League, just make it like CSGO, where they've been playing the same maps forever. I think that sort of defeats what Call of Duty is. I think you certainly bring back the maps that have been incredible throughout history in the Call of Duty League. But I don't think that you only keep old school maps. I like Raid being brought back. Express is good to be brought back as well, but I also like the new maps that we found in Cold War. They bring a fresh look to viewers, and they bring life to the game. Think about if we were going from game to game and Call of Duty is designing a new game every season and we're just playing old maps. We're just playing on a new engine, but old maps that can screw up timing and that can sort of mess up the way that the maps are played and also defeat the purpose of a new Call of Duty being brought out every year. Like, I like the new maps being designed and us playing something new. Garrison plays really well for Hardpoint. It's fun to watch. I personally am a fan of Miami S&D. A lot of you guys hate it, but I love Miami S&D. It brings out a lot of different strategies. You have to be able to adapt. You can use both bomb sites. Just think we wouldn't have that if we just played old maps. I think the perfect combination for the Call of Duty League looking forward is a couple of new maps and a couple of old maps being put together in the map set for the competitive season. We see it now. Raid and Express are back. We have Apocolypse, Checkmate, Garrison. Moscow is a good one as well. We have a really good balance in the Call of Duty League right now. First, I want to talk about Apocolypse, though. That map is a lot of fun to watch. I've only played it a couple of times myself, but as a fan, that map is a little bit deceiving. It looks really tight. It looks really small. It looks like ARs wouldn't shine in its fast pace. But then all the different angles, sight lines, lanes, you can play all the way into back spawn on both sides. Like, it makes it seem like it's a small map, but it plays larger than it does. I think that's really cool. I think Apocolypse was great to be brought in to the rotation of maps, and I think teams are liking it a lot too. They were really excited to make the transition here. Get off of Crossroads, which was tighter. Like, you could run the map in like 10 seconds in Crossroads, and it's just kind of like throw your bodies at a hill. Okay, let's rotate, cross the map, and we get there. Apocolypse is a good change of pace. It takes a lot of strategy too. Like, the rotations on this map, you can set up for a couple of full 60s on here just like you can any other map. But the strategies are there. A couple good picks, a rotation comes through, or a break is there in the same way on Apocolypse. I like what we've seen there. It's brought new life to the Call of Duty League, and I think some of the teams that were underperforming in Stage 1, this map gives them light. Like, some of these teams are going to be a good Apocolypse team. And it's plain and simple. That's going to be sought out and brought out in the picks and bans. I like Apocolypse. I love Express. Express is just such a classic, and it's an incredible S&D map. I think a lot of the times the A site is favored just because it gets a little more coverage and you can set up towards that top window. But the B site, even though it's not planted a high percentage of the time, it gives you a lot of different methods and strategies and plans of attack. Because you can quick hit B, get the bomb down, and plant for a certain side. You also get a lot of different angles on Express. You can hit mid, you can hit the zig steps, go towards mid-map, fly over to A site, and then B is wide open too. I like the versatility, making up words now on the rotation, but I like the diversity that Express brings. Because teams are implementing new strategies every single round, hitting different things, going back to something that's familiar to them. And it just brings life to the Call of Duty League. Myself as a fan, I love to watch it. I think the players enjoy playing it. So the Call of Duty League, hats off to you. You're doing a great job listening to the players, listening to the fans, bringing in new maps for the season. Keep it up. If we get another DLC map that's really cool, don't hesitate to bring it into the league. Not too late in the season, though, because I know that changes things up. Then we don't know what we're playing on. And I've talked about how we need to sort of get the meta set. So I'm the tale of two sides there. But if there's a new map that can outperform one as competitive Call of Duty, let's make it happen. I don't see why not. The next topic that I'm going to touch on here, it is stemming off of the roster changes and Rostermania that I talked about earlier. I can't wait for expansion next year. I know it's just rumored that we're going to expand the Call of Duty League. It better happen. Let me tell you. I am stoked for expansion, and the reason why is seeing all these players get benched from the CDL right now. I'm just mind blown and thinking, holy hell, look at all the talent that is in the Challenger scene right now. We only have 48 players in the Call of Duty League, folks. It's the 48 best in the CDL, and if someone's underperforming, they are interchangeable like that. Quick. You stink for a series, you're out. You're underperforming for a couple of weeks, you're out of here. We have someone else who's cracked. Like, it's a cutthroat league right now. When we get to 16 teams, which is what I hope the expansion is next year, that will be incredible. I mean, I could rattle off 100 names in the Challenger scene. But I mean, you look at where they are right now. Temp, Zinni, Zaptius, Parasite, Chino, Mox, Havoc, Saints, Glowfrosty, Wuskins. Like, look at all these names. These are such talented players in the Challenger scene who are grinding this season and itching to get back in the CDL. These players need to show patience, sit out for the rest of this year, or they could get picked up if a team is struggling, like who knows. But then when the league expands to 16 teams, I wish I had money. If I had some cash, I would build one hell of a team, let me tell you. We'd be winning champs. Like, I'd be the best manager in the league. But it's going to be incredible. Like, you see 4 more teams That's 16 more players from challengers who are cracked who will make a name for themselves. The question that comes into hand, though, is do they just want to bring their challengers roster, or are we going to mix and match? Because some of these challengers teams are really good right now, but I don't know if they could compete as a unit against CDL teams. But if you pick and choose some of these guys, like if you put together like Zinni, Saints, Mox, Havoc, or Temp, something like that, like the talent is there and they each have their respected game modes. Like if you look at that roster in particular, Saints just fries, Zinni posts up as an AR, Havoc is your god in S&D, and then Mox could be your other AR who's more of like, you know, a hard-hitting guy. And him and Havoc have played in the past. They meld well together. There are so many different combinations and permutations that can be put together for rosters in the Call of Duty League from these challengers players, and I'm so excited to see expansion happen. Don't get me wrong, I'm having so much fun this season in the CDL, but when we get 16 teams in the league, it is going to be content, teams pulling off upsets, young guns, and it's going to give me more of the feel of the CWL that I liked before. I'm going to be honest, I like the CWL a little bit more than the CDL. I liked having the teams play pool play, then the teams coming from the open bracket, play in the pool play, and then you set your bracket for the weekend. I really liked that. Like the different stages here where we're just playing on 4 different days, we're earning league points to get to the bracket for the major. That's fun, but I loved when we crowned a champion at the end of every single series. Like you have a champion at CWL Orlando, CWL Anaheim, CWL Vegas. I liked when we played COD, grinded for a weekend, and crowned a champion. Then we worked to champs, had the same thing, did the bracket and the pool play draw, and we fought to get to the winner's bracket in that tournament. Then these teams made the insane losers bracket run. I don't know if we'll ever get back to that sort of method, but I do think 16 teams helps us get closer to that. I'm excited for the expansion. The challenger scene brings so much talent. We've seen great coverage by these guys like I Hold Shift, and that's helped us know who's cracked. And I can't wait till next year, but we got to slow down, stay in the present in this year, and see what happens. Let's bring up the matches here from week 1 and see what's going on here. Let's pull it up on the screen. Give me a second. You guys will see my pick'em, what I predicted, what I thought was going to happen from last week. I did all right. I didn't do bad. I had a couple that I thought were going to happen, and I'll tell you those, and I'll make my excuses, but we'll go back to it. Atlanta FaZe Subliners, they were first off. I don't think anybody saw anything else happening there. Like, Atlanta FaZe are too good. Until somebody can learn the game as well as Atlanta FaZe are, I don't know if anybody takes them down. New York put up a good fight. They picked up a map, but it just wasn't enough. The only thing, like the crutch to Atlanta FaZe, is if they start getting too confident, and I don't think they will. I think Crowder has brought in a good culture there to where he says, yo, it doesn't matter if you're playing London or if you're playing Optic. Like, try your hardest. You're going to win this series. I think that's a good culture to instill, and I think that was pretty clear-cut for Atlanta. They still look great. I haven't found any flaws or cracks in the armor for them. They're pretty stellar. The big one here was the second one, Seattle. Like this, they're starting to learn the game. The meta has shifted towards them where it's a true AR. Octane can shine. Gunless can do the same. And then Pristini and Looney can sort of fly. I think Apocolypse is a map that helps a team like Seattle. And this is going to be a stage for them. Seattle have started to look really good. They were one of the teams that everyone has been talking about making a roster change. But I think they're one of the teams who may try and hold out towards the end of this major. Like if things still don't go well towards the end of the Stage 2 major, then they can make the roster change. But right now, there's signs of life for Seattle. They beat Florida 3-1. Day 2, I struggled a little bit, and I'm going to tell you why. LA Thieves, I had them beating Toronto. The Call of Duty community, like the fans, you guys are so toxic, man. I'm just watching this series and all I see is spammed in the chat. No Zinni, no Winnie. 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 Why'd you pick up Insight? No Zinni, no Winnie. No Zinni, no Winnie. No Zinni, no Winnie. And I'm like, oh my God, I gotta slide chat off to the side. I gotta mute that. LA Thieves, they were the better team in this series. Like, plain and simple, Toronto, they are working with that roster change, and they still got to find a groove. I think a lot of people anticipated LA to win this, and they certainly did. The next match on that day is one where I got a little salty. I had Paris 3-2 over Minnesota, so I wouldn't have gotten the map count right, but I would have gotten my 2 points from the series, and I'm going to tell you what happened. I'm at work, and I'm going through my bracket. There are literally 30 seconds left until brackets lock on day 2, and I had Paris 3-2, and I was like, yeah, but if it goes 3-2, I feel like Minnesota, they're that search and destroy team. Boom, I switch it to Minnesota, 3-2, lock it in, then I lose it. Gosh. That was the start of the roster change for Minnesota, in my opinion, and then you look forward to the next day over there, and that's where it truly happened. Paris are looking good. I'm going to be honest. I like their roster. I like the talent that they have, and I like the way they're playing. With that being said, I had them competing against Optic Day 2. I had it going 5 maps. It only went 4. In Optic Chicago, they look good. I think when we look forward into the Stage 2 Major, I think you're probably going to see them in phase towards the end of it this time around. Like, with this more flex roll and SMG meta, I think it favors Optic. Watch out for them through the rest of Stage 2. Florida, again, playing against Minnesota. Minnesota look weak in this stage. I'm not going to lie. The Mutineers took advantage of it. And they smoke the Rocker. The Rocker get 3-0 twice in the first weekend here. That's tough for them. Now the roster change comes in, and now I'm going to be confused making my picks for the next week because I don't know how these teams are going to play with the roster changes because the only people who really stream scrims are Optic. We got to see Venom because they played LA Thieves the other day, but we don't know what's going to happen. Surge look real good, man. Empire played Seattle. They only had 1 match this week, and it was a 3-2. It went the distance, and Seattle, they made it close in this Game Fuel marquee match of the week. Like, if we take a look at this match in more specific, shout out to breakingpoint.gg. I love these guys over here. They do a great job with the stat work. They do a great job with everything that they do. Let's take a look and break it down here at the series. Like, you know Octane's going to perform and Pristini, the man in question of getting a roster change. Like, he popped off. That's him at the bottom here. He played a good series. I want to hop into this final S&D because it could have gone either way. Both S&Ds went round 11. The control went 3-2. The hard points weren't that tight. But this is why we watch Call of Duty. This was a series for the ages. And right here, like the S&D, it's just what changed the game. Oh, I would have loved to see Seattle win there. Instead, Empire, they're in second, 110 points on the season, but everyone's chasing Atlanta with 135. This series proved that the Seattle Surge, like, they're here to play. I'm worried for anyone who takes on them for the rest of the season because they look good. You go into the final day, London Royal Ravens, we already touched on their series a little bit. Paul X, he made a difference. Like, we saw it right there, plain and simple, set in stone. He played the OBJ really well. He brought in good stuff during S&D. And they 3-0'd LAG. That was good stuff from London. Then you hop into the next match. We expected it. FaZe, they stay perfect. They are so good. I'm not picking anyone to beat FaZe until somebody beats FaZe. Like, straight up. Until they lose, I don't think anyone's going to beat them. Next one, let's go. We got a perfect on the weekend. 3-2 subliners over Thieves. I don't know if I necessarily called the reverse sweep, but I called the dub. It happened. You love to see it. Clayster's just incredible. Like, he gets this team in to perform, and you know that he brought the vibes. He told them, like, let's go, guys. We can reverse sweep this. After Control, all the momentum was with New York. You could see it. The vibes were there. The chemistry was clicking on all cylinders. And that's what allowed NYSL to win this series in reverse sweep fashion. And that put LA Thieves in the spot to make the roster change. JCap and Mud Dog, they said it. They had to do it. I think this was the reason why. That's the recap for these matches. Like, everything was, pretty tight. What did I go? Did I go 500 or a little better? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I went 6-4 on the weekend. I'd like to be a little better. So let's try and do it right now. Oh, and I'm already scared for the first day because I think Paris can beat Dallas. Like, Dallas are showing signs of weakness. I think they end up winning this series. It's a question of 3-1 or 3-2. We got to look at the stats here. We really do. We got to go into the teams, and we got to see what we think about Paris. I think Dallas are going to perform better, and I think they'll win this series. But you got to find the points why. Because Paris are kind of cracked. Like, those guys are playing really good. Aqua has been having himself a season. Like, he's the star of that team, and they've been competing with good teams. Like, they took Atlanta 3-2. They've taken Florida tight a couple of times. They took a map off Chicago. I think S&D is really where they falter. And I mean, the respawns are just too good for Dallas. All right. I think that makes the decision for us. We're just going to go with our gut here. 3-2 Empire. I think Optic. Do Rocker get 3-0'd 3 times? Like, their respawn, I don't know how quick Standy's going to hop in and help him out there. I think day one it's going to be a 3-1, 3-0. Optic take it there. This is the battle of the 2 roster changes, and this is one that scares me. I think it goes the distance, and it's just the question of who plays better, who clutches the SND. Like, the Royal Ravens, notoriously bad for SND throughout the first, stage and a couple matches. Paul X helps them out with that 2.0 KD and SND. Like, he opens up the map, he slays out, and that could be the X factor. But I just think the consistency is there from the LA Thieves, and I think they take it. Next up, Subliners, they're just too good. I think LA Gorillas, they pick up a map, but it's not going to be enough to get it done. Make sure you guys fill out your brackets and join my leaderboard. I'll bring it up in a second here. But the Subliners, they're scary for me, man. I think they go the distance again in this next matchup. I think London forces it 3-2. This one, the marquee game fuel match, I think LA Thieves, they take a map off Atlanta, but they're not going to get it done. It's just not going to happen. Toronto, now they've made that roster change already. This one's tight. Oh. These are the ones that stress me out because I don't know what's going to happen. I think Toronto can take that one, the distance 3-2. This should be an exciting day. We move over to Sunday. This is going to go the distance. I think Seattle, oh gosh. Like, this is tight. This is going to be as tight as it can be. Seattle's starting to perform. Paris is starting to step into their role. I think it goes the distance, but Seattle take it. I'm probably going to adjust right here, depending on how Rocker play against Optic. But I think Dallas take it. I think they get a map taken off of them. But they're good enough to do it. Florida, to me, they're such a streaky team. Like, one day they'll fry and go absolutely ballistic. And then the next day, it's just like, that's going to be a close game. And then they end up losing in like a 3-2 or a 3-1. And then they 3-0 someone that it feels like they shouldn't. With this being said, I think that's set out. Like, instinct, save the predictions. That's my first look at week 2 coming up here. I'm probably going to go back and change one of these, so don't hold me to it. But that starts on the 25th, man. We're recording this the 23rd. Hope we get it live at the end of this day. But that's what I'm looking at right there. I like what I see for week 2 in stage 2. I talked about my leaderboard. I'm going to bring it up for you guys to join real quick, then we'll get back into the topics. 3,400th. I'm only down by 10 right now. I can come back. But my leaderboard right here, it's the Rotation with Zhack. Okay? So this is the link, the Rotation with Zhack. The password, it's just rotation. Join it up. Come find me. Join our little party here. And let's get into it. Let's have some fun, folks. Now let's hop back into these topics here. I like the predictions for Stage 2, Week 2. I like the recap of Stage 1. And now it's time to jump in. Do I want to go there yet? I don't think so. I'm going to talk about one more thing. I know we're here in the present. We're here in Cold War. But it's kind of fun to look forward to next season already and what we're going to get. I'm excited and you should be excited too. It looks like, well, actually, I'm not excited. I am, but I'm not. You know what I'm saying? I'm a jetpack guy. I loved Black Ops 3, Advanced Warfare, Infinite Warfare. Like, from a fan's perspective, I loved watching it, and I loved playing it, too. Like, it was so much fun, and I know there's a big skill gap with movement because some players, like, they were just jetpackers. They were naturally just cracked on the sticks in Jetpack Call of Duty, and the movement was such a big advantage for them. But in general, like, jetpacks were so fun to watch and so fun to play. Black Ops 3 and IW, they were some of the most fun years of my life. Everyone talks trash about IW. I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to make a Call of Duty League, Call of Duty game list like everyone else is doing, a tier list. I'm going to rate them for you guys, but IW is going to be up there because it's my personal opinion. I love jetpacks. I was hoping we saw AW2. Oh, we didn't. We didn't get the jetpacks that I wanted, but it's not to say I'm not excited. It looks like we're going to take place in World War II again for the next Call of Duty. I'm excited about it. A lot of people hated seeing like Arden Forest every day, and they didn't like World War II. I liked the game. League play was great. I enjoyed playing it. I was up there in the, the 19 to 22 range in league play. It was the best system we had for players, and I loved it. So I'm excited, and I hope that World War II brings that back. All we got to work on is design. Like the colors, it was just a little bland in World War II. The skins, camos, they were a little bit, they were pushing towards lame there. I don't think it was terrible, though, but I thought the way the game played and the way that we had competitive and we watched the CWL, like it was exciting. I liked the CWL with World War II, and it was a fun game to watch. I don't know how the mechanics are going to be. I don't know what the movement is going to look like, how the guns are going to shoot, but I enjoyed World War II. A lot of people, they're here and there about it, but I enjoyed the way it played. I think if we can introduce a good league play at the start of the game, please. Like, get it done. Let's work on it right now. Get a good league play into this next World War II, okay? Get a league play at the start of the game. Have better camos. Bring some more color. Good map design. Boom. We're in for a good one. It's not to say I would have loved to see AW2 or even IW2. I liked jetpacks a lot. Like, I kind of want jetpacks to make an appearance again. I don't know if we'll ever get there, but I hope they find their way back in the cycle. With that being said, I am excited to see World War II, but I'm excited to finish the Cold War season first, okay? We're in for an incredible rest of the season for Cold War. We still have a few more stages and champs to get into, baby. There's a lot of COD left to be played, but I just like looking into it forever and ever and ever. World War II, I'm excited. I would have liked jetpacks, but we'll settle with it, okay? They just got to hit those points I was talking about. Next up, we're winding down here. We're getting to the tail end of the podcast. It's time for the new segment of this season, and one that you guys have loved, overkill reactions around the Call of Duty League.
Overkill reactions around the Call of Duty League.
Just a couple of overkill reactions this week that I had. I just brought two of them into play. One of them is news-based, and the other one is, well, it's what's been going on and how the league has been going crazy. So the first thing that I have been seeing on my timeline, specifically yesterday, with the LA Thieves roster change and the Minnesota Rocker roster change, is that what are they doing? Teams need to wait longer to make roster changes. I'm going to warm it up. This is what I have to say to you guys in that aspect. Overkill! Teams are making the right move, making roster changes right now. You need to win, and you need to win now. This is a cutthroat league. You are here to win and set yourself up in a good position. If your current roster, like the Minnesota Rocker, is getting 3-0'd twice, going 0-2 to start stage 2, you're going to be in the loser's bracket when the major comes around. And the odds are against you. You're probably not going to make that loser's bracket run. Teams need to do everything that they can to have an advantageous position going in to the major for stage 2. If you're not performing, make the roster change now, in my opinion. That is overkill to say to wait until the end of stage 2 to make that roster change. It's crunch time. We're here. We're now. You got to win. Your roster spot, it's on the line because there's a lot of talent in the challenger scene. Make the roster changes now if you guys are struggling. You heard it here first from Zhack. The next thing I've been seeing, and this one, it's going to make me go crazy because COVID hit us hard. It made us struggle. It broke a lot of content ideas I had and a lot of traveling I was going to do this season for the Call of Duty League. Activision Blizzard came out and said a lot of things this weekend, and what they're saying is that we're making a good decision by being less dependent on LAN events, and we're shifting towards we can have success in an online league. Oh, you're starting to piss me off. Overkill! The Call of Duty League, man. The CWL. How we've been playing for years. The bread and butter. The most fun that people have had has been on LAN at events. How are you saying that's a bad thing? It's drawing viewership. It's gaining revenue for the league. And it's making it so much better. It's more competitive and there's better integrity on LAN for the players. Number one, we don't have to be worried about hackers. We don't have to be worrying about playing on different servers. We don't have to worry about lagging and things of that nature. Like, we're on an equal playing field. There is no excuses when we're on LAN. That's number one. Number two, the environment is better for the players and fans alike. The players get hype. They're side by side with their teammates, dapping each other up after a S&D win, shouting over their monitors to the fans saying, let's go, gas me up. And the fans are getting invested. They are there like people go to watch an NFL game on Sunday. You show up to the stadium 2 hours early and try and get a picture with Tom Brady and his autograph for your kid. Like, fans do the same thing at LAN events. They show up there and they say, oh my gosh, yo, Slasher, can I get an autograph? Clay, can I take a picture with you? You go to the autograph booth, the Scuff Gaming autograph booth, take a picture with these guys, meet them. Like, it's an environment for the fans and players alike. Number three, you're making money off of it. The teams in the league are making money off of it to put back into the league. When they have this home series, they're selling tickets. What they need to do, they need to sell booze at events because a lot of the fans have grown up watching Call of Duty like me. Imagine if it's like an NFL game where I can go buy a $9 beer and watch some Call of Duty. You're just making money off of all of it. LAN events are a great thing. The Hilton Bar afterwards. Like, it's such a fun and good environment for these players to be able to interact with the fans and the fans to feel like they're hanging out with players firsthand. Just having a conversation with them like they're humans. Do not tell me that online is fine for the league. We need LAN, okay? Plain and simple. Do not stray towards an online league. That's the worst thing you can do. Because I will pay to fly to a home series, watch a LAN event, make content, meet people, collaborate with other creators, talk to players. Like, LAN is just better. It's the best environment for the players, for the competition, for the hype, for the league, for everybody. Plain and simple. We need LAN. When it's possible, don't stray towards an online league. We have one last thing to do before the podcast ends, and I think everybody knows where we're going. It's everyone's favorite segment. Scumpy, introduce it for us, buddy. Who's the best in the game? This decision from me, it might shock you, but it shouldn't when I'm talking about who is the best in the game after week 1 of stage 2. This guy has been around the scene for forever. The intangibles are undeniable. He is the best leader in the league, plain and simple. He has taken young guns and won back-to-back championships. That should give it away from you. Who's the best in the game? It is Clayster. The guy is hilarious. He holds up his phone with a custom, 99 overall card. That was hilarious when he did that on the cam after the reverse sweep in the 3-2. He has a great personality, and he is the best leader in the league. It's undeniable. He's hype, he's a personality, and he's a gunner on the map. I mean, he slays out. It's incredible what he brings to the team. He has a 1.06 overall, top 10 in the league. 0.97 in hardpoint, and then you look at him in search, 1.26. That's 6th in the league. It's basically 5th because Paul X has played one series, popped off with a 2.0, so I don't really give him the sample size of being in that role, but he could keep proving himself here. Regardless, that puts Clay at basically the 5th best S&D player in the league. A 1.12 in control, he's huge on the swing map. Like, that's where it started in the reverse sweep against the Thieves. And that's how they won the series. It started there, rattled off 3 straight, and after that, you know Clay was getting hype, telling everyone he can do it, leading this team. This roster, they were undermined to start the year, and Clay is the one who made them what they are. A bunch of young guys, a roster change to start out, visa issues, and now you have the Rookie of the Year. Diamond Khan's playing out of his mind, but you can't even tell me that Clay is not helping him to where he is today. Clayster is the best in the game at this point after week 1, stage 2. That's going to do it for today's episode. Thanks so much, everyone, for tuning in to episode 7 of the Rotation with Zhack. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel, Zach Warhack. Find me on Twitter at Zhack16 and the Rotation with Zhack or Zhack16 on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Share it with your friends, family, any Call of Duty brethren that you have out there. We're trying to grow the game and talk the CDL week in and week out. Thanks so much, everyone, again for tuning in, and we'll see you next time. Peace!